What is up, my fellow mobile gamers? In today's video, we got our 2022 updated best Soul Linker guide. We got a lot of new players, so we're going to talk about the Soul Linkers because a lot of people are confused. So you guys, honestly, you got it very, very easy because back in the day when we used to play this game was way different. I mean, you guys now have the ability to like re-roll your Soul Linkers and all kinds of stuff like that. We didn't have that feature. We just had to get lucky and get duplicate characters in order to make these legendaries, which was absolutely ridiculous. So your main focus should be to get a legendary Soul Linker. The rares and the heroics, are okay. I mean, the way the game is now, though, it kind of is really pushing everyone to have legendaries. Back when I played like free to play, we had to use heroics. Like I was using heroic Soul Linkers. At this point in the game, everyone should be using legendaries, and it's pretty easy to get access to them. So that is the main focus. Don't use rares, don't use heroics. What you're gonna do is you're just gonna upgrade those so that you can have a legendary. So the first thing you need to do is pretty much have a legendary of each type. So an attack type, a defensive type, and then finally a support, because this really helps you out for those main quests where you have those boss battles and it says you need a specific type of Soul Linker. Let's say you're doing a boss battle for one of the main quests and it says it is weak to attack type. You're gonna need an attack type Soul Linker that's strong, something like a legendary, and then you'll face one that needs a support, and then you'll face one that's weak to defense. So really having one of each type is really good. Now when it comes to stuff like these complements, these you don't need to have these like spread out. What you should do is focus on one set. So leveling up just one set first, because then when you do get to something like something that needs a defensive Soul Linker, you can literally just take these off of your character. Now they are expensive to remove. If you go ahead and you take a look, it's a lot of gold. It can take up a lot of gold if you're switching them back and forth, so you shouldn't do it too often. But these are universals is the main point. So you can throw these on your defensive type Soul Linkers when you need to, your support type. So you really only need to focus on leveling up a complement to the maximum. Don't go through here and be like trying to do it even, like trying to upgrade these rare ones and then trying to upgrade these to ancients. Like literally just focus on one pair of these first, and then you can start to move on. Now the way these Soul Linkers work is you need to bind in order to upgrade to the next tier. So what I mean by that is rare to heroic, you need to bind, and then heroic into legendary needs to bind. Upgrade is when you want to upgrade a Soul Linker's star level. So if you're going from, let's say, a rare 3 to a rare 4 star and then a rare 5 star, you'll do upgrades. And for those, you need duplicates of the same character. Do not level up the duplicates. They do not need to be leveled up. Only the one needs to be leveled up in order to upgrade its star count. So what I mean by that is, let me see if I can find a good example. All right, let's say we got Kaizist right here. Now let's say we were going to upgrade him from a rare 4 star to a rare 5 star. Well, first of all, one of them would have to be maxed out, and that's it. You do not have to max out the duplicate. Don't waste your materials maxing out a duplicate, otherwise it's a complete waste. This game has a lot of traps. I mean, a ridiculous amount. And once you make one of those mistakes and fall into a trap, you have one of two options. You either spend money to fix your mistake, or you accept your mistake, learn from it, and understand that you are going to be behind other people who either didn't make the same mistake as you or decided to pay to fix their mistake. And at first it may not seem that bad, but once you start really piling up those mistakes and not fixing them, you really fall behind. Really bad. In fact, I'm gonna put out a video later today about a huge mistake that new players make. And then when you're gonna bind, you're just upgrading them to the next tier. So what I mean by that is, if we were to upgrade this rare, we can make a heroic right now. And you'll notice these are all at level 1. So to bind, they do not have to be max level. Only need to be max level when you're upgrading their star count. So let's say, and the main one that you put is the type that's going to be binded. So if I want an attack type heroic, I'd go ahead and I would choose one of these that are attack type. So we'll go here and we'll choose her. And then you can basically just choose any from there. It does not matter. And you'll notice a 5-star attack type heroic will be the outcome of this. And then if I switch it and I use a support as my main, and then we just throw in some random ones, you'll notice the outcome will now be a 5-star support. Now I already have an 8-star attack type and an 8-star support. So what I'm personally working on next is my 8-star legendary soul linker. And in order to do that, I need another duplicate of my 7-star legendary, which means I need to get another 7-star legendary Pobart, which is really tough. So what we're doing is just trying to make as many 7-star heroics so that I can bind for a legendary. You always want to work your way from the top to the bottom. So what I mean by that is, how many 7-star heroics do I have for my defense? I've got 1, so that means I need a bunch more. So then we drop down to 6 stars. So now I need to make a heroic 6-star into a 7-star, and because of that, I'm going to need duplicates. So you always want to look out for duplicates. You want to have as many of the same character as possible, so that way you can star them up and then bind for the legendary. And because of that, you should always focus on one type. Don't go and try and start mixing them up and maybe do some attack types or maybe do some defense or support. Always focus on one. And what I mean by that is, like, when you're binding, always bind for the same type that you're working on. If I'm working on defense, I'm not going to go here and bind for a 5-star attack heroic. That's stupid. I need to have as many defensive heroics as possible, because I'm going to need to rank them up to 7-star heroics and then bind them and hopefully get a duplicate legendary. It's a very tedious task. So what I would do is I would go through here and I would do it like this. I would save this defensive one because I'm going to use him as another main. You never want to use the same that you're trying to work for. So I'm working for defensive legendary soul linker, so I need to keep climbing the ladder and make heroic defenses. So because of that, save that single type as your mains. Don't use them as food. I'm not going to go through here and then do this. Like, if I use this, that's a huge disadvantage, because now I need to figure out, okay, I need another rare 5-star defensive type. So don't screw yourself over like that. Like I said, there's a lot of little traps in this game, and it really can set you back. Now, an amazing thing that you also have access to is the fact that you have these extra attribute ruins right here. You have like 3 different builds you can do. When I played the game, we didn't have 3 different builds. We only had just 1. Like, we couldn't switch between these numbers like this. You guys got it so easy. So because of that, you're able to really like have a lot of customization. So I'm going to show you a really good example of what you should do for your attribute ruins. In fact, this is probably the best one that I have so far. I need to fix my defensive and my support, but my attack is looking pretty good. So number 1, I have as my PvE content. So when I am doing mobs, when I'm grinding mobs, just trying to get XP or doing main quests where I got to kill 300 monsters, I use number 1. So what you're looking out for is stuff like this. XP increase, which is very, very important. If you can get character XP increase, this is super duper strong to help you level up, because you will hit those level walls and you need all the XP that you can get. For the soul linker, I just have HP potion recovery. That's not the best. Literally, the only reason I have this is because of the XP increase. There's one that the soul linker heals every time he does damage, so that one's really good to have. But again, you can't get super duper picky. Another good one for PvE, and in fact this one's good for all different content, is just magical attack. Attack in general, which I'm going to go over later, is the difference between magic attack and physical attack. But you'll see just buffing my attack and my soul linker's attack. That's good for any kind of content. I have soul linker vigor consumption decrease, and then recovery HP upon enemy death. Again, this one doesn't matter too much, but it helps out the soul linker. Main part is this, the soul linker vigor consumption. You don't want to have to keep wasting gold, because when you go and you're just farming for hours and hours, they use up that potion, that vigor just drains. And once that hits 0, they can't even use their ultimate abilities. They take a huge hit to their effectiveness. So you always want to make sure you have your vigor up, and because of that, I like to have this consumption decrease, because the legendaries, they eat through that stuff like crazy. Again, attack is another good one for PvE. Max HP increase. I think this is really good for when you're grinding mobs, because the higher health you have, the better, the less potions you'll have to run through. This is also good if you have a Soul Linker that has a natural heal ability. That way it can just keep healing you up and you don't have to keep buying potions. You don't want to have to keep going through potions and stuff like that. You want to save as much gold as possible. Gold is probably one of the most important currencies in the game, aside of course from blue diamonds, but gold is used for everything and you need millions and millions of it. You don't want to waste your gold. And then finally, I have accuracy. Accuracy is also good for PvE and PvP content. You want to make sure that your accuracy is high enough so that your attacks land completely. If you have low accuracy and you have a ridiculous amount of attack, it doesn't matter, because the enemy is going to be dodging your attacks and you're going to be doing reduced damage. So accuracy is a very, very important stat. So because of that, I have that on there again for my PvE content. Now let's take a look at the PvP build that I would go with. Magical evade, anything evade, magical evade, physical evade, very, very strong for PvP purposes. When it comes to PvE, I wouldn't really use this too much because I'm really not worried that much, although you could, but this is a lot better for PvP content, because if you are going up against another player who is new to the game and they don't understand how accuracy and evade work, they don't work on their accuracy, they have low accuracy, you have high evade, you're taking a lot of reduced damage. I mean, their hits are barely doing anything to you. So evade is a very strong stat for PvP content. Again, attack is very important, accuracy. And then this one, this is a new one. We didn't have access to this when I played. We have physical penetration defense increase. So it could be physical or magical. So this is very important because penetration is the biggest stat when it comes to PvP. If you have a high pen and your opponent has no resistance to it, then you kind of just blow through their defense and you absolutely destroy them. When it comes to PvE content though, penetration has very little effects on the enemies, like the computer generated mobs. Penetration does nothing to them. Penetration is strictly for PvP content. That's where you're gonna see the biggest buff from it. So because of that, I need physical penetration defense increase. This will help against those assassins, against archers when I'm doing PvP content. And then we have CC resistance. This is another one. We didn't have this stuff when I played the game. This is another very, very important stat for PvP content. You do not really need this for PvE. And because of that, you're going to have enemies who have a lot of stuns. Their Soul Linkers have a lot of stuns. So this will help you not get stun locked as much. So this is very, very important for PvP. And then we have penetration. Because my character is a magical attacker, I have magical penetration. Again, this is a huge stat for PvP content. This will help you get through your enemy's defense to do more damage. It's a long video. There's just so much to talk about when it comes to Soul Linkers. But that is it for today, folks. Maybe this will just be part 1. Maybe I'll do a part 2 video later. It's literally like I could make like 20 videos alone on the Soul Linkers because there's just so much to talk about. There's so much little things that go into this. I have videos for days for this. Stay happy, stay safe, my friends. Peace.